What's up, everybody? This is Rarity Games, and thank you for coming back to check out our E3 predictions episode. I'm Eric.
I'm Chris.
And let's get right into it. So, you wanted to start with?
We're going to be starting off with Google Stadia. They're actually coming out a little bit before E3 on June 6th with a big announcement. So we wanted to kind of dig into some of our predictions about that. What I've seen, or what I'm predicting from some of the information we've seen around the web, is I think Google Stadia is going to launch their service in the fourth quarter of 2019. That's going to be the November to January range, 2019. In doing so, I think it's going to launch with very limited content on it. Google has announced a partnership with Ubisoft and with Bethesda/id. So I think that's going to give them a good foothold on some of the third-party games. But I don't necessarily think it's going to have any exclusives, and I think because of some of the latency issues in certain parts of our country, it's going to launch to very mixed reviews. Also, part of the predictions part is from some of the hardware that they have announced that is in the Stadia controller, where it is Wi-Fi direct from the controller to their servers and is not interfacing with whatever streaming device you're using. The controller is independently internet connected. I believe that controller is going to have a little bit more tech in it. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. I'm thinking it's going to cost $79.99 out of the gate. Yeah, it's going to be an expensive controller.
I'm not seeing. I don't know how if they're going to go that hard on the controller. I think they're going to give us, a decent subscription service anyway. And you know how Google is. They're able to roll out. They have plenty of dough, and as long as they get you on that service, and then have you buying DLC for games and stuff like that. And microtransactions, they're going to get a cut of that. I think that might help them be able to bring the price down on that controller.
And speaking of the service, shout out to Jason Schreier from Kotaku. He recently tweeted that from his inside information, he's aware it's going to have a split business model. It's going to be like an Amazon Prime-esque service where they're going to have a certain amount of games per month included in their service, but you do also have the option to buy new games individually. So it's going to have a split business model, which it's going to be smarter because I believe they caught some initial rumblings that if it was all going to be a streaming subscription service, a la some of the Microsoft Game Pass or PlayStation Now stuff, it's going to necessarily limit their ability to compete on those fronts. That being said, I think that them not having any first-party games at launch is going to be a big hindrance for them, and it's going to be a problem that why should people that already have existing game consoles or that are in an existing ecosystem like Microsoft or PlayStation leave those ecosystems to try Google out? And with no first-party games, as we saw this generation, Xbox paid a price for not having too many first-party exclusives. And
they did.
And Sony soared real high because of those first-party exclusives.
And I'm definitely seeing I was kind of predicting the same thing here. I'm thinking Google's going to come out of the gate with some really good exclusives that we are not expecting. We have, as you said, I believe a show on Thursday from Google Stadia. So definitely be sure to check that out if you want to know what's going on with that and what's coming in the future. If you don't know what Stadia is, I mean, he explained a good bit of it. But it's the capability to stream games like Assassin's Creed and maybe even some Call of Duties or Fortnites on your phone. I know that some are playable already on your phone, but streaming them can give you a way better quality. But there's always some downsides to that. And now it could be on your phone, your PC, or your laptop. There's a lot of different ways they plan on bringing it to us, and there's a few other streaming things that I'm sure we'll get into later in this podcast as well.
And we're going to be doing a video on Google Stadia coming in the next week or so keep your eye out on that as well.
Yeah, we'll be breaking down. Chris will probably be handling that and breaking down pretty much everything you need to know about Google Stadia. I'm definitely seeing them coming out hard for their first ever E3 presentation, if you want to call it that. We're going to see some big things from Google this year, and we're going to see some just as big, if not bigger, things from the other companies trying to make sure that they don't come and take their cake.
All right, well, moving along to Xbox a little bit. You have any Xbox predictions, Eric?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you probably have some too, so I don't want to steal too many of your answers, but, the Halo Infinite thing, I'm seeing maybe a release window or at least an announcement that it will be coming to the new gen consoles, because I'm definitely foreseeing an announcement of the new gen consoles of some sort.
I agree.
There's a few other things that are going to be coming hot out of Xbox this year. We got a lot of. I'm sure Chris has a lot of predictions about it, and maybe another one that I know you're going to get into Halo Infinite a little bit, and I think some announcements with the Switch, maybe like the Kind of Funny guys brought up, maybe games like Ori and the Blind Forest, or there's a few other games that smaller Xbox games that could make their way over to the Switch. I think we'll get an announcement or two about that.
And I agree with you with that, but I don't think too much of the Switch announcements are going to be on the Microsoft stage. I think they're going to save that for possibly a Nintendo Direct. Because if that's going to go onto the Nintendo systems, I think Nintendo's going to want to try and take a little bit more ownership of that than having it on the Microsoft stage. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a Nintendo exec come out with like a little teaser of, hey, check out our Nintendo Direct on Tuesday. One of those kind of things.
100%. Yeah.
I agree with you in terms of the Halo Infinite information, the next iteration of Halo, aka Halo 6. I believe we are going to see a gameplay trailer. And I believe we are going to see a generic date. I do not believe we're going to see a specific date. I think it's just going to say 2020 or something along those lines. It's not going to give us a month or a day.
Yep,
it'll give you just a window.
Get. We're going to get a pretty big window at that. What did you think about Infinite? What kind of gameplay do you think we'll be seeing from Infinite?
I think Infinite is going to be an instance-based gameplay. So you'll be able to go through with a select number of players in a closed match. But you can also just through an option in terms of when you go to load the game or the mission, much like you were seeing in Monster Hunter, where you could have an open party or a closed party, and you can go through
mini open worlds.
Instances is what they call it. Yeah. It's like pockets of the worlds. So that way you can run through an area single player style if you are a single player gamer and want just that story content, or you can run through as a cooperative gamer and have that kind of multiplayer. Run and gun experience that you used to get with some of the older Halos.
Yeah, and that would
online.
Yeah, and that would explain a lot about the name change for Halo, because we've seen a couple in the past with Halo Wars and Halo ODST that before announcements really got out there, we got a title. It was always a very different style of game than the original Halo. So he's definitely got, I think Chris has got something here with seeing a co-op style Halo online. And maybe a Destiny-like Halo. And interesting.
One of the things that supports that Destiny-like Halo, that kind of live game, that ever-expanding game, is that in the description on Microsoft's own site, they have a line that says the ever-expanding fight. So it seems like this is going to be an ongoing war kind of thing.
We keep seeing those keywords in some of those live service games that come out.
I think that's going to be a very, very cool, big announcement for Microsoft, because everyone that is a Microsoft fan, even some people that aren't, look forward to the next Halo.
Oh, yeah. What else you got?
One of my predictions is going to be that the new Gears Tactics, the tactical XCOM-like game, is going to launch day and date at the end of the conference.
I can see that.
For Microsoft Game Pass for PC. Microsoft has been hinting.
They need something to come out like boom in your face.
Everyone loves those instant drops. Go out right after the conference, get it and play it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that being a flagship thing for them to launch on the service is going to be a very cool thing. They're already going to have their other PC titles there, such as like State of Decay 2 and Forza Horizon 4, but having a new PC exclusive game from Microsoft is something that you haven't seen in a while. Also, Microsoft has been slowly remastering the Age of Empires games, and I could totally see the definitive edition of those games on Game Pass for PC.
You're down. We lost them.
Uh-oh, we're back up.
It's all good. I have it on the cam right now.
Okay.
Anyways. No big deal.
For Game Pass for PC, I think that's going to be a new announcement. I believe we're going to get a launch window, a date for Gears 5. I believe it's going to be fall of this year. I can see that. Fall 2019. It's been a while since Gears 4 launched. It's been content supported very heavily, and I think that that's a standard bearer for the Xbox franchise. It's a pillar that they'll definitely want to get out. at the end of this life cycle before the next gen consoles launch as a nice little kind of tip of the hat sunset for the system. Finally, I think Microsoft is in very similar fashion to last year's conference. CD Projekt Red is going to close the show with them as a partner.
And they're going to have... You stole one of my predictions.
They're going to have a Cyberpunk 2077 come out, a gameplay trailer, a live on-screen trailer.
Yep.
And they're going to give...
Apparently there's demos on the floor, too, for people to check out.
And because there's demos on the floor for it to check out, I believe we're going to see this game in fall of 2019. I believe that's going to launch this year.
That's a good prediction.
This is going to be like another awesome Death Stranding type game where you assume this game was so big we wouldn't see it for a couple years. But I think they've mastered that engine. I think the CD Projekt Red folks have really... gone very hard and spent a lot of time and effort on this game.
What year was that that they teased it? I believe 2014? 15?
Well, it had originally begun teasing during the DLC time of Witcher 3, which was around 2015-ish.
Yeah,
and then we saw the teaser video itself on stage last year at Microsoft's E3 show.
No. That was the we got a full... not full, but small, behind closed doors.
They did it behind the closed doors
I'm
demo.
Talking about the teaser. Remember when the girl with the arms coming out, or the like claws coming out of her arms in the rain? That was 20. That's what I thought. The 2015 teaser. Okay, so it's been. That means they probably were working on it about a year before that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say, that sounds about right. A 5-year development cycle.
Yeah, 4 to 5 years. Figure because there's tweaks and stuff like that, and they had said to people that experienced the hands-on demo last year that this was a test. This was something that might change, give or take. So they really didn't want reviewers to kind of latch on to certain features or certain stuff because they were still developing overall play styles, but it seems like the mechanics of the engine and the physics were there. The universe was ready to be played in some fashion. So that's really cool.
You stole my other prediction for Xbox. Got me.
Anything else for Xbox?
Honestly, I don't know. You mentioned to me something not too long ago. Maybe I could see a Halo Wars 2 or 3. 3.
They already did Halo Wars 2.
I always draw a blank on that. I skipped this generation, man. Alright, Halo Wars 3, and maybe a teaser for that. I could see something with that.
I could see a teaser for that as well, based off of the 2016 Halo Wars 2 timetable. And referencing our previous conversation, Microsoft is now reinvesting in PC gaming with PC Games Pass. So I could totally see that as part of their Play Anywhere strategy of, hey, here's a Halo Wars 3 strategy game on the PC that you can also play on your Xbox or your mobile device with Project xCloud, which is their own streaming service to combat Stadia and PlayStation Now.
And the guys who made a Hellblade, Ninja Theory, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ninja Theory. I know it seems a little early, but I think we might see something from the next game they're working on over at Ninja Theory.
It's possible. It depends on how far into the project they were. Because Senua's Sacrifice was originally 2016. It did launch on PlayStation originally.
But then they did one other small game with their studio. I believe, I can't recall the name of it. And then they did a VR experience with Hellblade Senua's. I believe they did if I'm not, one of the Xbox teams did the Star Wars experience that recently came out. I don't know if it was them. I'm going to say it wasn't. But either way, I believe we'll see something from Ninja Theory. That's definitely got to happen.
I think we're going to see a lot of kind of teasers and announcements coming from the third-party studios. There's so many of them that Microsoft's picked up. I think it's inevitable that they're going to start dropping breadcrumbs as to what they're doing.
That's it. That's what was on my mind. Somebody was What's Good Games with Andrew Renee and those girls over there, and someone at Kind of Funny mentioned two pieces of this. The George R. Martin from Software Project that is codenamed GR at the moment. Somebody mentioned that it's possible that From Software made another partnership, and I'm thinking it might have been Xbox. Xbox may have made a move to help them out. And we might be seeing something from Software on the Xbox stage.
I would love to see that, but in the same token...
Or an announcement.
There's so many people vying for exclusives at this point. Epic Games, for example. Google Stadia is now fishing around the market as well. They launched their own first-party studio not too long ago, but it's still not going to be ready to produce something. I think they would totally turn around and try and make a timed exclusive deal for another studio's content.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
You want to move on to Bethesda?
Let's go right into Bethesda. We wrapped that one up probably pretty quickly. I don't know if it's going to be such a great year for Bethesda, but man, they got some guts coming back this year.
I think Bethesda's going to rely a lot on their id Studios. They are bringing out Doom Eternal.
Maybe some Rage 2 stuff.
Yeah, I would totally expect to see Rage 2 DLC, given that game launched very recently. Got fairly well received. It's not a bad game at all. It's one of those, either you love it or...
It's in the 8-ish range, 7, 8-ish.
You either love it or aren't really too enamored with it. You don't dislike it for any reason.
That's what I've heard for the most part. We haven't had the chance to get our hands on it yet, but it looks like a Doom-esque game that looks real fun to run around and just destroy some people.
It has that quality id shooting tech that we all like to see. For my prediction personally for Bethesda, I think Bethesda is going to have a little bit of slice of humble pie. I think they're going to address the troubled launch of Fallout 76.
Oh, yes. They have to.
I think they have to with the fact that they have a conference. If they ignore it too much, I think too many people are going to assume that game is getting put out to pasture. That being said, they've kind of quietly been doing PAX panels and live streams from Fallout 76 talking about the year-long content roadmap that they had for the game, which was kind of interesting considering it took them 4 or 5 months to get the game stable to where it wouldn't crash as much. But I believe, Fallout 76 is going to announce the details of their Nuclear Winter DLC that they've added on or have announced and will add on. And the Nuclear Winter is Battle Royale mode in Fallout 76. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I imagine.
In doing so, with adding that Battle Royale mode, I say they're going to permanently cut the price of the game in a move to get more users in on it to $19.99. And I believe they're going to add even more microtransactions that they already have to the game. Because I don't think you played it, but I have, and their game set up around the store seems to have very microtransactions as a skin focus. They recently just added a microtransaction in for a repair patch to repair items in your game so you don't have to farm materials. So they're flirting with that. I don't want to say it's pay to win because it's not a competitive edge, but it's more of a time-saving microtransaction edge, which isn't necessarily great, but it's not the worst.
I know, and we've had a lot of microtransaction issues with Fallout 76, and a lot of people complaining about that, aside from all the other problems they had. So it would be nice to give the consumers something to look forward to in that regard.
So in terms of other Bethesda products, I believe also with the new Wolfenstein spinoff that's coming out, they're going to announce them exclusively on PC through their Bethesda Store launcher. They're quietly trying to do another Epic move where they're going back to an older style where you have to launch the game from their own store, from their own PC launcher. They're trying to avoid Steam and Epic's refund policies, and doing so, sticking to their own store. You need to have your Bethesda Net login. And they're trying to build their own little mini ecosystem. Looking through their website recently, we actually just discovered if you watch their Bethesda E3 press conference as a signed-in Bethesda Net member, you'll get some skins for Rage 2 for weapons and stuff. If you're an Elder Scrolls Online subscriber, which I assume they're going to be talking about their new expansion that just launched on the 4th for Elder Scrolls Online, they're giving you 4 or 5 loot boxes for Elder Scrolls Online if you watch that.
They really want you to watch it.
They really want you to sign in on their platform and watch it.
And we all know how much, to bring it back to the Bethesda network thing, we all know how much you PC gamers love having so many launchers.
Not so much.
Now, in regards to Bethesda, I'm thinking this year we might see some more from Starfield. I think we might get a small gameplay trailer, nothing too much, but more or less a mixture of cinematic and gameplay to give us an idea of what we're looking at. I don't think they want to give us true gameplay yet because I mentioned this to Chris before. The small changes in the game that so many people love to notice and nitpick. That if your graphics look one way in your amazing E3 video, then your graphics change at launch, you're in trouble. They need to tread lightly with all the issues they've had lately. But I do think that we're going to get some idea this saga, E3, on what Starfield is looking like and what kind of game we can expect out of Bethesda.
I think I'm going to agree with you. I think they're going to have what the industry likes to call a vertical slice.
Yes.
It's literally just like one zone, one segment of like a few minutes of interactions. It's probably going to be heavily edited to highlight certain particular features or certain particular moments. I think that's very likely for Starfield.
Yeah.
In contrast, I don't think they're going to give us a date. I think they're not going to give us any information about it other than just, hey, check out this cool interactive video thing that we have. I don't think they're going to give us too much more information on that. Plus, I don't think they're even going to mention Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 is such a next-generation title that I don't even think it's going to launch with the next generation.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a year or two into it. That is still in the very early incubator phase. Yeah.
Yeah, I like you did mention that to me, and I thought over it. I was thinking we might see something from Elder Scrolls 6, but he had a good point, and I think they only wanted to just let us know last year, don't worry, it's coming eventually.
Yeah.
They didn't want to tell us, hey, it's coming, we're working on 2 games at the same time in our main studio. No.
After in 2016, they made such a PR push on how, oh, hey, we're Bethesda and we make single-player games. And then they turn around and bring out Fallout 76, a multiplayer game that, for all intents and purposes, stumbled, tripped, and fell right out of the gate, and kept falling down repeatedly.
I know that's right.
I think that they're gonna try and lean a little bit more towards into that single player thing they fought hard for, because that's typically the games that we want and expect from them are those larger single player experiences.
Of course.
Do you have anything else on Bethesda, bud?
I don't believe so. Let me double check my notes. Duh. You kind of mentioned this, right? The Fallout BR. You did mention that.
Yeah,
right? The Battle Royale. Yeah,
that's the nuclear winter Battle Royale.
I definitely am thinking that's gonna happen. Oh, you said they were gonna rely on id. Did you bring up Doom Eternal? Doom Eternal's definitely gonna have a good presence.
They've already announced that Doom Eternal is going to be there. It's going to be one of those games.
I
totally expect Doom Eternal to get a
release date.
Absolutely.
That's what I have written down there. They release definitely. I predict a full release date from Doom Eternal. Maybe some more news on what to expect from Doom Eternal, like a more expansive multiplayer mode. Maybe if we're lucky, this is my hope to God moment, a co-op version of the story.
I expect to see. I don't think they're going to do co-op just because the way that's
my please moment.
The reason I don't think they're going to do co-op in Doom Eternal is because the other Bethesda/id game launching that year is the Wolfenstein spin-off with the twin daughters of the main character.
They don't need another co-op.
That, I believe, is going to have some form of co-op or split-screen action.
100%.
Being that it is that kind of twin daughter thing. So I totally think they're going to not mess with the Doom formula as much because they know Doom was so successful in so many ways because of the way they formulated that. I think it's just going to be more Doom. I don't think they're going to change it. So that's pretty much it for Bethesda. Let's move on over to Ubisoft. And going after that, I think we are finally going to see a teaser trailer, no real gameplay, but just possibly a CG video for Splinter Cell. That game has been leaked and teased and kind of tongue-in-cheek talked about for quite some time. That's one of those games that if it wasn't in development before, the fan hype for the Imagine project created that game.
Yes.
I don't believe we're going to get a date for it or any information on it beyond, hey, here's the Splinter Cell trailer, Sam Fisher is back, and Michael Ironsides is the voice of Sam Fisher again. You get that gravelly, raspy soldier that we all know. And it's going to start or end with just the black screen.
Maybe some Starlink stuff.
Well, we'll get there, buddy. And that traditional just...
who brought that up? What podcast was that on? Oh, that was Tim. It was Tim, I think. I think it was Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny, where he said, I'm imagining my Splinter Cell moment now. Yeah. The crowd goes silent. It all goes dark. And you just hear the noise. Yeah.
And
the night vision goggles light up.
Ryan McCaffrey from IGN said something similar.
Yeah.
But that game's gonna come eventually.
Oh, yes. And I think that is almost to the T an Ubisoft presentation right there. And then you hear, what was the actor's name again?
Michael Ironside.
That's it. So you hear the
80s actor.
The voice come through, and everybody in the crowd freak out.
One of the other things I'm thinking we're going to get out of Ubisoft is the day and date for the new Assassin's Creed Viking project. Assassin's Creed Ragnarok.
God, you keep stealing my predictions. He's getting me every time.
I'll fight you for it.
Ragnarok all day. I at least getting an announcement. They said it that Assassin's Creed is not coming this year.
I'm going to gamble a little bit on my prediction. They're saying an Assassin's Creed wasn't coming this year. I think it's going to come spring 2020 before the end of the
Change
fourth
up the
quarter
release date. Yep.
to make it in that
fiscal
financial
year
window for them. Yep. And I think it's going to.
All about the money.
I think it's going to mark the end of the DLC support for Odyssey.
Yes.
Odyssey has been an incredible game, but there is, much like The Witcher 3, so much content in that game that I have played it for 80 hours, and I'm only about 60% of the way through that game.
And another Greg Miller prediction
and
that I believe is coming, a DLC for Odyssey at least. We get one DLC for Odyssey, and then it rolls over into the new Assassin's Creed announcement.
They've already done 3 standalone DLCs for it, and then they're working on currently an Atlantis quest line for Odyssey, which was very cool.
I think we'll get something on Odyssey though at the conference itself.
It may be a hype video for Odyssey if there's been X number of players spent X number of millions of hours.
Yes, so we got Splinter Cell. Alright, so for Ubisoft, I'm thinking one of my major predictions, and this could be a / Nintendo announcement, a little bit of both. I'm thinking we get something because the game did so well, and I think it's an easy enough game to continue development with the same engine from the previous. Mario and Rabbids 2.
Okay.
And we're gonna get that with more characters, like bringing in Donkey Kong from the DLC. Maybe get people like we had Yoshi as a playable character. But
we did.
I'm thinking more Nintendo characters, like maybe bringing in like Shy Guys and Wombas,
or like bring in like some of the other ones like Wario, Waluigi.
Yeah, bring in like a Mario Party-esque cast for Mario vs. Rabbids to have more abilities and make it more of a robust second game.
And I could totally see that happening for a couple different reasons. One, it was a launch game for the Switch 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's coming up on about that time. 2, they did have some limited DLC for the game early on, but it didn't have kind of the huge tail that most Ubisoft products typically do. So I could totally see them bringing a sequel out rather than trying to support a game that was awesome, but the DLC wasn't even really necessary.
It's not necessary, no. That game is plenty long, very good, and the tactics-based game on Nintendo is a great portable thing.
Second reason
I see that coming.
Second reason why, from a financial standpoint, why I think that's very likely, is for about 18 months, that was the best-selling third-party game on the Switch.
Yeah.
It sold somewhere over like 13 to 14 million copies.
Woo!
So that means roughly like 2 out of 3 Switch owners own that game.
Yeah.
Which that's arguably competing with the first-party Nintendo titles. So I think that's very likely, and honestly, something I would definitely look forward to.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing not anytime soon. Don't expect it right away, but it is about at that time where we would see some kind of announcement for it. I don't think we're going to get a full release date or anything like that, but we'll at least get notified that something like that's coming.
Yep.
So that's probably...
And
you got any other AAAs? They said 3.
The only thing I would kind of tack on to that Mario plus Rabbids 2 announcement would be, I think they're going to show a smaller trailer of it, and then not really talk about it and say, hey, check out our friends in Nintendo on Tuesday. Because when it's a cross-promotion thing like that, they want you to watch both ends of the presentation.
A little E3 tidbit, and so we heard about Breakpoint, of course, Ghost Recon. Now we might have another Tom Clancy thing with Splinter Cell. Mm-hmm. And of course, we're more than likely going to get those 2 games right there, the Division 2, some kind of announcement, maybe a raid announcement for that, and then probably some more operators from Rainbow Six Siege.
Mm-hmm.
But they did say, besides Breakpoint, they would have 3 other AAA games to announce. Now, we got Assassin's Creed, and we think maybe we got Mario vs. Rabbids, or...
And Watch Dogs has more or less leaked all over the internet this week if you haven't been paying attention.
Yep.
The supposed name is Watch Dogs Legion, taking place in the UK. So that should be very interesting. I think that style more suits the British style, where they're not going to have an emphasis on guns, a little bit more on melee combat, a little bit more on hacking systems as the puzzle part of it, and it's not going to lean as much into that GTA style gameplay. It's going to be a bit more structured.
We saw them lean into that a lot more in the second game rather than the first. They kind of lean towards use less guns, use more abilities and tactics, and your hacking abilities. So I would not doubt at all what you're saying is something that they would try out. Ubisoft definitely is a little experimental with that engine they got over there, and I would not doubt seeing a almost gunless Watch Dogs 3.
I think there would be some kind of guns maybe in the end game, but very
few.
Very limited. Especially after, unfortunately, a lot of the gun violence we've seen lately. I would not be surprised that they shy away from that gun violence just ever so slightly in that style of game.
Exactly. Not a guy running around on the streets just doing whatever he wants. Yeah. It's different if it's a Splinter Cell or...
I think it's also not going to be necessarily as dark or as moody as the first Watch Dogs was. The first Watch Dogs tried to take itself incredibly seriously.
And the second one seemed to brighten up a little bit.
It seemed to be a lot more lighthearted.
Stayed a little traumatic.
Yeah.
So I could see that. We're in London, a little bit of a happier mood, a little less guns.
All right.
That sounds like a good game. I would definitely like to see what kind of mechanics they introduce into that.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What do you think we go to next, Chris?
Let's head over to Square Enix and think what's going on over there.
I got at least one major thing from Square Enix.
Take it. Let's go.
Well, we all know that about the Final Fantasy VII and of course Marvel Avengers. I'm hoping for a release date for Avengers. We'll see. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm at least hoping for it. And for Final Fantasy, I'm thinking we get an episode 1 release date on that, and I at least rough, maybe a good window, maybe sometime 2020, something like that for Final Fantasy VII's first episode. Since if it's an episodic release, I think we're going to see a part of that soon. Because based off of how many trailers we're seeing and the recent state of play, I think we're going to see something gameplay-wise from Final Fantasy VII, a lot more in-depth gameplay-wise. So similar to how they did Kingdom Hearts release, show off one thing, then another thing. The fact that we've seen two or three trailers this year, or no, in the past full year, I think we're going to see some more from them, because that's how Kingdom Hearts kind of wind down. Between March and March, it started coming in hot.
And being that Kingdom Hearts has launched and they're kind of just working on DLC for it, they have the teams available to help further move along the Final Fantasy VII port. Plus the fact, as you have seen, the Final Fantasy VII port is very much in the Final Fantasy 15 engine.
Yes.
Which, now that they're no longer supporting DLC for Final Fantasy 15 either,
they're rolling them in.
I believe that they're totally going to move on to their next incredibly large project, because they have one big kind of tentpole they work on at a time. They do have many projects going on at Square Enix, but in terms of the big name, big gun, they like to do one major at a time.
The Final Fantasy studio that works basically strictly on that, they're pretty much freed up besides some DLC for Kingdom Hearts, which I did want to mention that I believe we're going to get at least some kind of release date and some kind of trailer for the new Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC coming up, which is supposed to, one of my favorite games ever, by the way. A little disappointing, this one in the series, so I think the director wants to bring us some wholesome content before the game dies down too much. So I think we're going to see something from that as soon as possible.
Alrighty.
And move right out of Square Enix, because I don't believe they're going to be bringing too much else to E3. You want to get into...
I think they're bringing things to E3. I think a lot of it is going to be the Japanese surprises. They do have many Japanese-oriented studios, which typically are a little bit more tight-lipped about their projects until they're ready to be shown.
Yeah, maybe,
it's a little bit
something
more
for
of
Nintendo too. We might see something for Nintendo after the success of Octopath. We might see Square producing another game.
I would maybe see an Octopath 2 tease. I don't believe
just
they're ready.
Announce.
Yeah, I don't believe they're ready for a sequel for that game yet. But that game did sell very well for a traditional JRPG.
Yep. Okay. What do you want to do? Go right into Nintendo?
Next on the docket and last major.
There we go.
Show.
All right. I'm gonna let you take the first one of this. I got a few here.
Likewise, I believe we're gonna see a Link's Awakening remastered date.
There it is. Got that one on my list.
I believe it is going to be set for February 2020.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay,
Nintendo has proven that they do really enjoy those kind of post-holiday winter gaps.
Yes.
Because then the game isn't competing with as many of the other platform big hits in the fall that try and get that holiday rush. If they launch in the spring, much like when they launched the Switch console and Breath of the Wild in the spring, they have a long tail and over a year to support it. And I think that's a very Japanese aesthetic and a very Japanese launch approach. Plus, you have to consider that it is also not only us here in America and over in Europe, but they do have to cater to that Asian market, being that they are an Asian-focused company.
Of course. I think you're pretty much head on with that. Plus, it'll still be within this fiscal year, and I think they need a good launch like that to come in this year. We do have my other prediction, kind of obvious. We're going to see something from Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. Maybe some character announcements or just some overall hands-on stuff. I'm sure it's going to be on the showroom floor because it is a July release date, I believe.
I believe July 19th.
Don't quote us on that, but it should be coming very soon. So I know we're going to see some more from that.
It's within the next 60 days or so. It's very close.
Yes, with those two and Pokemon, they're going to have a really good year after that.
Yeah, and we are having a Pokemon Direct right before E3 as well, so they'll be dropping a lot of information about that. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at their E3 conference or their E3 Direct if they drop a date on it after the Pokemon Direct itself. They give you a lot of information on it, get you hungry for it, get you into the details that a lot of the Pokemon fans want, and then drop the actual date for their E3 Direct. One of the other things I think about bringing Link's Awakening Remastered out in February is it is going to be far enough away from Super Mario Maker 2 coming out in the end of this month, June. In any of the other big Nintendo titles.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
They have been trying to kind of a very TikTok every other kind of cycle to support the growth of the Switch over a very long time period. Rather than dropping all these big games at once and people having to fight, what game do I play? They're doing a very almost marched release where it's one after another spaced out. So you have roughly 60 days to enjoy a game,
and then something else pops up.
Then something else pops up.
Yeah. A lot of companies have been kind of changing their style and going towards something like that.
And I think they're reacting to the criticism of when the Switch had their first launch year, that Zelda was amazing, Breath of the Wild was fantastic, Mario Odyssey, fantastic. But they had two of their main name franchise games come out in the launch year, to the point where, hey, you play those two games, you beat those two games, what else do I have? I think that goes into the success of Mario plus Rabbids, because they were hungry for games in the beginning. That's why we saw so many indie developers go on the Nintendo eShop and bring their games out there, because people were hungry for Switch games at that time.
Yeah, I'm feeling you on that one. I'm also thinking we mentioned Pokemon in our podcast. I believe that is today is the 4th, so tomorrow is the first showing we have from E3 in a way, and it's going to be the Pokemon Direct. I'm thinking at E3 itself, we get some kind of Pokemon Edition Switch announcement, maybe at the viewing tomorrow, but also maybe at the show itself. We're going to get some kind of special edition version of the Switch, and that also leads into the possibility of at least an announcement for the newer Switches that are to come.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll break down a video on that in the future. We're a possible announcement of a smaller, more kid-oriented Switch, and then a bit and without the dock have been the rumors, and maybe a bigger, stronger, more powerful version of the Switch. And I think we're gonna get both of those at least by next year.
I guess we'll find out. A very obvious one, I think, is that they're going to announce more Amiibo. They always announce more Amiibo. Amiibo are very popular with their own fan base, not to mention many other people. It keeps going. I think that's always a great sales tactic for them, and it's them embracing that physical collector part of people that really do enjoy that. I think we're going to see a trailer for one of the last ports from the Wii U that they still haven't brought over yet. I believe they're going to have a trailer for porting over Super Mario 3D World to the Switch. Much like they have for Toad's Treasure Tracker.
That'd be fun.
And Super Mario Wii U Deluxe or Super Mario Deluxe.
Deluxe U. Yeah.
They're going to have some modifications to it, maybe add a special level or two when they port it over, almost remix it a little bit, and then bring it over. A lot of the Wii U games were fantastic games that were stuck on a console that not a lot of people had a good feel for and not a lot of people purchased. So bringing some of those big, fantastic hits over has really supplemented the Switch's catalog growth because they had 2 generations of games and huge indie support, which is why I think we're seeing the huge Switch sales this generation.
Yeah, I have one more game prediction at the very least for Switch. I'm thinking we're going to get a port of the OG Spyro of Reignited Trilogy.
Okay.
I think we're going to... We did see a supposed leak on a German GameStop website with a supposed August 15th or so, August release date.
So the trilogy is on other platforms already, correct?
Yeah, we have the Reignited Trilogy in HD, beautiful Spyro. I personally have not touched it, even though it's one of my favorite childhood games. I've been dying to get it on the Switch. I have Crash and everything there. I feel like it's a wonderful platform to play something like that. A nice, simple game that you can play, as you go. Cool. And it looks like Nintendo's gonna, with what we're talking about and with what they've already announced, Nintendo's gonna have their most packed year yet. I think. And
I think it goes to show that Nintendo launched the console only 2 years ago. They were in a very different place than Xbox and PlayStation because of the fact they're wrapping up their life cycles. Whereas
Nintendo's thriving.
And Nintendo's really coming into their prime with Mario Maker 2 this year, with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It's an exclusive. I have friends that don't even own a Nintendo system and haven't in years, heard about the next Marvel game coming out other than Crystal Dynamics, and they're all about it.
Yeah. I really see a big year for Nintendo. This is bigger than I've ever seen it, I think. And you got a good point. They're coming into their prime, and it goes to show what they've proved since the Wii and the Wii U era and all that. They've really shown these developers what they can do.
In terms of conferences, I think Nintendo is the only competitor to Microsoft. You see a lot of the individual developers and publisher conferences, which are definitely going to be very cool, but they're all very multi-platform. I think a lot of the surprises we're going to see are going to be coming from Xbox and Nintendo. That being said, I have one more Nintendo prediction left, and this is kind of a pie-in-the-sky, Hail Mary, long one. I think we are going to see a very long-out tease, for a Star Fox game that we have not had one in a while.
Please!
And I think it's going to be an Ubisoft-produced Star Fox game.
Really? Because of Starlink. You did mention this to me.
Correct. Is Starlink Battle for Atlas, the Nintendo Switch edition of the Toys to Life game, came with a Star Fox R-Wing and a little Star Fox figure. If you've experienced that game or had a chance to play it on the Nintendo Switch, that game very much felt like a stealth Star Fox game. It felt like a Star Fox game that was not a Star Fox game.
Maybe they used it as almost practice to say, hey, guys, over at Ubisoft, why don't you, take this idea, run with it. We want to see how you do it. And then if they liked it, they know they put that Star Fox name on there, it's going to sell.
Ubisoft has a very long partnership history with Nintendo and a very strong partnership history with Nintendo.
Yes, very true. We mentioned that earlier.
Reaching back to the Wii generation with Just Dance. They have been around Nintendo folks and had strong relationships for a long time. The Mario plus Rabbids launch game showing that they have some incredible things they can do and bring to Nintendo. So that's pretty much pretty much it for us, guys. Do you have anything else, Eric?
Well, I do want to mention that obviously PlayStation is not making an appearance at E3 this year. I know it's a little weird. We did just get a state of play, and we talked a little about that in the podcast if you guys want to go check that out. And we're going to definitely be updating you on more of what PlayStation brings. I have a weird feeling that Friday seems a little empty. I have a weird feeling that maybe PlayStation hops in and gives us another short and sweet state of play at the end of at that point, maybe a little after E3.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could see them doing something after E3. Yeah. Kind of seeing what Microsoft drops in terms of announcing new consoles and information, and then possibly kind of squawking back as far as what they've done with PlayStation, because you've already heard some of the technical aspects of it, but they haven't directly addressed the audience with some of the PS5 stuff. It's been more journalist and developer focused. Yeah. So I could totally see them kind of just having a little wink and a nod. Hey, next generation's coming.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching. And any support would be great. Please like, subscribe, comment, give us your feedback. Tell us what you want to see. We're going to try to bring out all the content we can as soon as possible. We're going to be breaking down everything in E3. As soon as we get notified about it, we're going to get videos out as soon as possible. We're going to have another long-form podcast to kind of break it down and talk about it in a free format. And again, any support you can give us would be much appreciated. Yeah. Anything before we go, Chris?
No, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'm Chris. Make sure you keep on gaming.
And I'm Eric. Again, keep on gaming, guys.